Hello everybody, Thomas Fleming here. Well, I am relocated, sort of. The weatherman predicted rain this morning, and I haven't seen any. We got storm clouds over us. You can see there's no blue sky, but it's not raining yet. So I figured I can go ahead and work on a video. I do have my umbrella just in case, and my car is a quick dash away if I need to. Okay, I keep getting questions, and I have people asking me, personally, and when my talk is I hike around and talk to people, how come God allows all these bad things to happen? And I've talked about this before, so I'm going to try another approach. Another way to explain God does not punish people. It's not in his makeup. He's not capable of it. He allows things to happen if we deserve it. We've got a book that tells us exactly how to run our lives. We've got examples after examples of people who chose not to, the consequences, the return to God, and rinse and repeat. So he gave me a comparison that I thought was pretty clever, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. We're going to analyze how God has done everything, and we're going to compare it to a golf course. I don't know if any of you know how to play golf. I have played. It's not my favorite sport. My favorite sport before my knees went out was tennis, but that requires that I have to run around too much on a bad knee. I could probably do golf now, but it's such a long game. I like shorter games with more energy. But anyhow, I have played golf. I know what it's like. And if I were to go play 18 holes now, I'd probably have to go sit in a hot tub because I'd be all worn out. It takes a lot of energy to play golf. A lot more than people think. You just see them sitting around or riding around their carts. But anyhow, that's getting off topic a little bit. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Okay, we're going to do a comparison. In the beginning, God created a golf course. He didn't create one hole and then sit and wait for us to get to it and then go create another one. He created the entire golf course. There might be a sandwich shop in the middle. There may be a lodge someplace where when you get done you can go in and have a drink with your friends. We're talking about not going crazy on this stuff, just going out and having a friendly game of golf and then sitting around and talking after you're done. God created it all up front. And anybody who creates a golf course, they got to think about how to make it exciting, make it different. Each hole's got to be slightly different, so it's a challenge. Life has to be a challenge. Is our life not a challenge? I think it can be a big challenge, and it's our job to complete the course. So when he set up each hole, he's going to have a mixture of things he can put out there. Anybody who's designing a course or has played a course knows you've got certain pars that you've got to do so many shots to get in the cup, to go from where you drive off the tee to where the cup is. It may not be in a straight line. There might be a dog leg. It may be on the other side of a lake. Pebble Beach is crazy. You got to shoot across chasms of open ground across water. It is one of the toughest ones I've seen. Now, I haven't played it. I've been there to watch it, but I haven't played it. I have played on some smaller courses, and I have played on what they would call pitch and putt, the miniature golf courses. That's a lot more along my line, and I jokingly say I can never get past the windmill. But in any case, each one has its own challenges deliberately put there to test you. And that's the way this golf course is set up. There may be sand traps all over the place. And we get to go through life with a personal trainer. We can have the man, or the God in this case, that designed the golf course to go with us, or we can have somebody who claims to know what he's doing. Satan. And it may look like he knows what he's doing, but he doesn't know where all the pitfalls are. He doesn't know where all the traps are. And if you ever do coming into the parking lot here, you ever do miniature golf, there may be a hole where there's 3 holes in it that you got to aim for. And if you get to the right one, it will take you down to the lower level. And if you get the right one, it'll put you in the right position. So, God created this. He knows where everything is. And if He tells you, aim to the right, you aim to the right. Hit the fairway to the right, and it'll be an easier shot for the next shot. Satan doesn't always know that. He may look at it logically and go, well, I'd do this. So would you rather listen to somebody who thinks he knows what he's doing and has proven repeatedly that he doesn't, or listen to the designer on how to do this? Not only did He design us, He designed the course, so He knows our strengths, our weaknesses. It may be that you've got to hit 2 shots down the fairway before you can come back to the hole, whereas a professional might get away with 1 shot going a different route. If it's a dog leg, a good player might be able to go over the top of the trees and come up on the fairway on the other side, where you got to go all the way around because you don't know how to hit that well. And when we start off on our golf course, we don't have all the tools. We don't have all the clubs. We might have a medium driver. That's the wooden club that's supposed to go the furthest. There may also be a medium iron, and you have to have a putter. Now, God designed all this stuff, so we got to think of all the things that He would have done. He would have designed your golf ball with dimples. So why would you do that? It will travel further. That's why the dimples are in the golf ball, to help it to travel further. And it doesn't vary around by the wind as much. It can hold a truer lie. If you saw the Mythbusters episodes, they took a car and they covered it in clay and went around and scooped out all the little divots, all the little dimples, to make it look like a golf ball. And they drove it first and got all the numbers out of it. How much gas did it use? They used a little fuel cell so they could have an inaccurate way of measuring the gas. They drove it long enough around the track to get a good metric. Then they covered it with the clay and tested it. And then they put the dimples in. So they got a really good methodology for testing that. And it got better aerodynamics and gas mileage with the dimples. So that's why they're on the golf ball. God thought about that. When He created us a certain way to be able to do something a certain way, He created us that way. And He's given us our gifts based on that. Whatever we have to get through this world, they're given to us. We have the gifts of God. We have the fruits of the Spirit. That's different. We have gifts. Every one of us has at least one gift. Something that we're so good at that that's what we need to focus on for our entire life. If you think about a job, if you have a career, you're going to do this job the rest of your life. You better enjoy it. If you enjoy it, it's not a problem going to work. Now, yeah, you can have off days where you're not feeling good and you still got to go to work. That makes it work. But you can still get by And if it's something that you're good at, you can probably do half the energy that a normal worker would do to do the same job because you're good at it and they're not. God knows He's the one who's designed everything. It's foolish for us to follow anybody else. Now, for the most part, most people don't follow Satan for the point of following Satan. We know he's not God. Adam and Eve knew he wasn't God. But he lies, and they trusted him. They trusted the lie. If they'd have known what they were doing, they would have told him to get out of there and leave me alone. God told me not to do that. But he lied to him. And he's lying to all of us too. Everyone in the world is being lied to right now. Our progressives, our socialists, are doing the same thing that they always do. They spend money until there's no more money. And then they create a war. And during that time, then they can do whatever they want to do, because it's a war. All's fair in love and war. Well, I don't know who came up with that, but it's not God. So we look like we're going to be going to war soon. Maybe, maybe not. If the Antichrist comes in and stops it, we may be okay. But the chessboard's not set up right. The United States is still a formidable force, but we haven't been knocked down yet. And we're doing so many things wrong in this country that we deserve, and I use the term just generally, the wrath of God. What that means is what I'm talking about. With this golf course, God set up all the traps. And as soon as he stops helping, he says, you're on your own. Or you can go to the other guy, but I'm not helping anymore because you've basically broken all my rules so much. My hands are off. You want to be free? Fine, you're free. Go do what you want to do. And that's the situation we're getting into. That's the situation that Israel got into many times. Not initially. They come to God. They have a good time for a little while. But as a generation or two go by, they forget the promises. They forget the covenant. They don't have any practical application of it. They haven't seen God's miracles. Even though they're there, they haven't learned to recognize them because they lose their mentors that teach them. Every time the next generation comes along, the liar is up there trying to distract people, and he's good at it. You know, I've said it before, but that's why we're having the millennium, to prove to the world that this wasn't a complete setup to fail. He's taken Satan away because they're going to say, well, he was here to mess us up all the time. There's no way we could win. Well, Jesus showed us that we could. But to deal with the naysayers, we're going to give them 1,000 years. Initially, they're going to probably be very good. Give them a couple of generations in there, and they're going to start falling away. That's why at the very end of the millennium, there's a world war where all the countries that are left behind go up against Israel, and God destroys them all in Armageddon. There shouldn't have been an Armageddon. People under the rule of Jesus should have accepted the rule and followed him and done what they were supposed to do, but they're not. That's why it says not everybody's name is in the book of life. If their name's not in it, they're not going to buy into this. So that's why I keep saying, we're told to go from house to house and tell people. But if they won't accept it, wipe the dust from your feet and move on. There's plenty of people out there that need our attention, that need our message, need God's message. Focus on them. Keep getting the message out, though. You've got to get the message out. I finally broke down. I've always been hesitant about getting business cards because in the past, every time my new business cards come in from whatever job I've had, I've always felt that that was the reason or the death nail for me to know that I'm leaving the company. But I finally got some business cards. Let's see, get over here. Where's the camera? There it is. So I've got the End Times, A Voice in the Wilderness on that side, and I have links to my various sites. I don't know if that's, I don't have my glasses on, so I can't tell if that's in focus. Don't have a phone number because I don't want people calling me. But I have an email on there that you guys can use. It should be on my pages, but if not, it's, you know, it's My Travels with God. It's the normal handle, and I've got an email there. I don't always have time to get to everything. It depends on what God has me do. I've got to do a daily video, so I've got to spend time with Him so He can give me the video. I don't know what to talk about until He tells me, so I got to spend enough time with Him for Him to do that. So we talked about this message today, last night. I put it down in my phone. I have a little notepad in there that if I got an idea in the middle of the night and wake up, and I can put it in there. Then as I'm talking to God and I get another idea that's related to that, I'll drop it in there. And then at some point in time, I'll go ahead and put the little lesson plan together, which is nothing more than a quick outline. God's still speaking, but I got to make sure I get the bullet points, because He gave them to me for a reason. Okay, so we need to keep focusing on getting this word out. Don't be distracted. Jesus told us about these things so that we wouldn't be distracted. Wars and rumors of wars, earthquakes, pestilence. Satan's the ruler of this planet. He can give you a daily earthquake, any place he wants. There are places that are overdue, that probably deserve an earthquake. Not all the people. God had to get Lot out of Sodom and Gomorrah so He could destroy it. So there's going to be Christians in areas. A lot of the Christians that I grew up listening to or attending in California are still there. Some have gone on to be with the Lord, but you know, we get this movie coming out, The Jesus Revolution, about Chuck Smith. He was out there, Costa Mesa. It was about an hour for me to drive there at Long Beach. I didn't go all the time because we had our own get-together. I was in the Navy at the time. But there's still a lot of Christians, and the Christians that are there are fighters. They refused to shut down during the Big C lockdown. Some of them were fined, one of them over $1 million for not shutting the doors. But our founding fathers, who were Christians and set up a Christian nation. Despite what the liars tell you, this was a Christian founding here. They wanted to be free of government control because they didn't want what they had over in England, where control was given to the king more so than the church so that he could have another affair. King James Bible. A lot of it was written. Now, he commissioned it to be written, but he had a couple of things changed. They've been fixed, but he had a couple of things changed. Back then, their Bible allowed him to get forgiven for having another affair. Not a nice guy. Okay. I'm going to go for a little hike here, and I'm going to take you along, let you see some of the scenery. Get out and enjoy it while you can, please, because it's all of this is doomed. This whole planet's doomed, and it isn't that far away. There's less time left in the world as we know it than it has been since Jesus was here. That's over 2,000 years. We don't have that much time left. So get out and enjoy it. Till we meet in the clouds. God bless. Okay, so we're going to go for a little walk. I'm in the parking lot and I'm heading to the other side where the trailhead is. I've still got my umbrella just in case. I felt a couple of drops, but it doesn't look like it's ready to really cut loose. And that's not a tempting of anybody. in charge of the clouds. It just doesn't look like it, so we'll see how far I can get. I saw a deer coming into the park. I don't know if I see any going this way when we go, but there's some water down here. I've been down here before, but for anybody who's new to the channel, you can find hikes for just about anything that you want. And they're all pretty well set up. There's a game going on here currently. Find the hearts and write the names down. There's another one not too far from here. This is how the trail starts. Most of them start this way on nice gravel with a nice board up here. All the things that they got going on. Within the park, yeah, these are things you can see. There's turkeys, rabbits. I don't see armadillos, but they're here too, and the park's got a nice layout for trails. So let's go around here. Now there's a fork in the road coming up. I don't know if I want to take the fork down the hill. We've been there before. If I go down there, down at the bottom of that hill, there's a creek. But if we go this way, this trail should take us around to the trailhead that we drove by, that I drove by coming in. This is the blue trail. You should be able to see. So there's a tree up there in the middle that has blue on it. If they do it right, you should be able to see the next marker from the current one. So that way you don't get lost. Because sometimes, you come along and there's an animal trail, not a people trail. And you might wander on that if you're not paying attention. We're on the back side of the visitor center. I'm going to keep an eye on the time. You don't have to go with me for the whole time. I'm just hoping to see some critters while we're out here. I can hear some crows off to the distance. You can see quite a ways into the trees because there's no leaves on them. These trees appear to be okay. The ones at the other end of the park have pine beetle in the pine trees, and I don't see any dead ones. Because the pine beetle will get in and they eat the root. They destroy the root, so the tree actually dies from the inside out. And the way you know it's dying is that bark starts to come off. How are we doing on time? Yeah, I probably ought to let you go. I'm too early to the park because I thought it was going to rain this morning. So I packed up first thing, and I'm 2 hours early. That's okay, I'd come here and go for a hike anyway, even after I checked in. And there is a storm front rain coming in. I just have to wait till the appropriate time. They usually let me check in early, but not this early. If there's nobody in the campsite. Most places will tolerate that. I've only been to one campsite where these people were really not being friendly. They shouldn't have been there. I don't think they stayed very long after I was there, because the next time I was there, they were gone. They send out a questionnaire after you camp at one of these sites to your email. And if you like something, tell them. If you don't like something, tell them. Be constructive. Things can go wrong sometimes. That doesn't mean it's anybody's fault. Most places will compensate for things that go wrong. But I mean, if you're there at a campsite and the power goes out because of Mother Nature, I use that term only because it's familiar, it's nobody's fault. If you do this enough, you will have a power outage. If you live in a house or an apartment, you will have a power outage. You just deal with it. I have backup plans. My new little cooler that I've got's working great. The first one that I got didn't hold up. This one here seems to be very well built. And so I'm hoping to get it to last a lot longer. And I can connect to it with Bluetooth so I can monitor it. It's currently sitting in my car, covered up and stuff, so it should be good for at least an hour. There's a tree that's not doing well. You see what happens? They get the pine beetle or they die. That's a full-size tree in this little forest here, and it goes all the way up. There's no leaves on it, and the bark is gone. Don't have to be I don't know what you call a herbologist or a tree person or whatever. Well, we have a nice little valley down here. There's a creek down there. It looks like there's a spring or something here because the ground is wet. I don't know when it rained here last. As I'm walking on the leaves, they are crispy, but they are a little bit, the ground's still a little moist underneath. Gotta watch my step on some of this. There we go. Okay, how are we doing on time? I think that's pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off here. There's the sun up there somewhere behind the clouds. I don't have a jacket on. I do have a long sleeve shirt, but I don't have a jacket on. It's probably pretty close to the 60s if it's not in the 60s. This week, I think we're supposed to get almost to 80. You see, all this is wet. So there has to be a spring up there. Let's see if I can get through this without getting mud on my feet. Oh, I'll let you see the creek and then I'll sign off. A lot of water running down here. Nice calming, rippling sound of a creek. Now I got to go across this. So I'm going to have to step out on that, go across there, see if I can get to the other side without getting wet. Just in case I fall down, I'd rather you not see that, so I'll sign off here. Blessings, everybody.